Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's MacklinGaming. Now, just ignore my hair right now. It's a little bit insane. I just woke up and I'm getting a haircut tomorrow because I'm going on spring break and all that. So, just bear with me for now. But on a more somber note, I want to talk about the state of the video game industry in 2024 and how we're trending towards like a breaking point, I feel like. So, first of all, I'll go back in time a bit to like the 90s and 2000s where, development companies were putting out games pretty frequently. You had Bethesda, for example. In 2002, they put out Morrowind, which people think is a masterpiece of an open world game. It almost, started the open world sandbox genre along with GTA 3 and stuff like that. And then 4 years later, Bethesda puts out Oblivion, which is also a banger. 2 years after that, they put out Fallout 3 in 2008. And then 3 years after that, they put out Skyrim, which is a legendary game, one of the best. And it's like in about 6 to 8 years, they just put out like 4 or 5 banger games. Then let's look at Rockstar Games. In 2002, they put out Vice City. In 2004 or 5, they put out San Andreas, GTA San Andreas. And then they're also making different IPs, right? I have this game on the PS2 called Manhunt, which I thought was super cool when I was like 12 because it was really violent. And, all the parents are like, kids should not be playing games like this. Rockstar was always pushing the boundaries, of what was acceptable in a video game. So they had other IPs like Manhunt. They had Bully, which I haven't played, but I feel like everybody talks about Bully. Like, why haven't we gotten another Bully? Apparently they were doing a remake and they canceled it. So this is going to bring me to my point later. But Rockstar's putting out all these games in the 2000s. Then they get the Red Dead IP, Red Dead Redemption. They put that out. Then GTA 5 comes out. Oh, and I skipped GTA 4 in 2008. So listen to all these games that came out in the 2000s and then like early 2010s for Rockstar. And it's like, since then, and also with Bethesda, since then, they've only put out like 2 or 3 games in the last 10 years, right? GTA 5 and then Red Dead 2, and that's it. That's 2 games in the 2010s. And for Bethesda, they put out Fallout 4. That's it. And then Starfield came out in 2023, but that took 8 years. So this is my point. Like, video game development cycles have become so long and they cost so much money now to make. That how is this sustainable? Like, we have years where Xbox doesn't even have a first party game in 2022. They have 0 games. And then in 2024, right here, like, I guess Sony has, Final Fantasy Rebirth, which is amazing. That's Square Enix, right? They're coming out with Rise of the Ronin, which is in a few days. But we don't know when the next Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us game. We have no idea even what Sucker Punch is doing like 4 years after Ghost of Tsushima came out. They have no, single player first party games on the horizon. Which leads me again to another point that a lot of these companies are going hard into live service games. Right? I think Rockstar made so much money on GTA Online that they kind of, put their feet up. I mean, they're obviously working hard on GTA 6. It's going to be amazing. I'm not doubting that. And Red Dead 2 is amazing. But like, since GTA Online, they haven't been putting out like their little side IPs, right? They haven't been putting out any other games except GTA and Red Dead Redemption. And same with Bethesda. It took them 8 years to make Starfield. And that's a very controversial game. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people don't like it. So there's 8 years down the drain. We're still waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. How long is that going to take? Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, that's already 13 years ago. So how many more? 6 to 8 more years if we're lucky from now until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. It's like absurd. I was in college when Skyrim came out, and I'm going to be like 40 years old when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. I don't know. But it's just nuts. And, you know, the amount of money it takes to make these games, especially like also live service games that are getting canceled. Like you might have heard of the Insomniac live service Spider-Man game, like a multiplayer online Spider-Man. You can be all the different Spider-Men and women from the Spider-Verse, right? And it's like, that would have been awesome. That would have been super cool. They canceled it. And also Naughty Dog, they canceled a Last of Us live service game, a multiplayer online Last of Us game. So these companies are going years into a development cycle for a game and then just canceling it. And then that sets them back even more to where their next game won't come out until like 8 or 10 years after their previous game. On a more positive note, though, the video game industry is like on top right now. It's bigger than Hollywood. It's bigger than TV. It's making so much money, right? When a good game comes out, you know, it sells millions and millions of copies, right? Like Hogwarts Legacy last year, what did it sell? Like 25 million in 1 year. And it's still selling probably like 30 million times 70, you know, for the price of the game. Like how much, it's an absurd amount of money that they're making. And, you know, if a live service game catches on, it makes billions of dollars, right? Like Fortnite and Epic Games have a ton of money. I know they spend a lot too to get licenses for the games, but think about how much money like a successful live service game is making. So, you know, the industry is like still, it's right now it's on top, but I think in the future there's going to be a crazy change, or like a, hopefully not a breakdown, but there might be a moment where what do we have to do? We have to like scale down the production of these games. So you're not going to get like a 80 to 100 hour realistic looking open world game, or like a massive production with like insane set pieces and animations. Like you might just get like back in the PS2 era, like some AA games, some like, you know, 20-hour games with like not as good graphics. Like where can we go here in the future? I think technology is kind of scary how it's exponentially getting pushed, like since the 2010s, right? Even before that, but as far as the video game industry goes, since like the 2010, like the last 10 years, things have been getting pushed to the limits, and games are massive now. And it takes them like 8 years development cycle to make. And if they fail, if the game doesn't do well, you're seeing these companies absolutely crumble and go under, you know? Companies have to like shut down and sell and get diffused into a different, you know, publisher or whatever. We'll buy them up because they're like in shambles. So it's a wild time for video games. You know, I'm proud of how far the industry has come. Like I've been playing video games for 25 years, and there used to be a stigma of like, oh, video games are bad. Like you don't want to be wasting your, you know, like you're in the basement doing crack or something. Like you got to do something with your life. You shouldn't be playing these video games, you know? But now I think the tune has changed with video games, you know? I think they're a lot more popular in the mainstream, and they're almost looked at as cool, you know, some of them at least. And I'm just happy about that. Like now I can sit back and say like video games make more money than Hollywood and TV. Like how do you gauge how much, you know, a Netflix show makes? Like you just see the viewership numbers or the Netflix subscriptions, but let's be real, it's not making as much money as, you know, like I said, a video game that sells 20 million copies at $70 or $60. That's just insane. So I'm happy about that, but I just wish some of these like AA games would come back, you know, maybe some of these companies and like slow down a little bit. Not every game has to be humongous. And I'm actually a big fan of like really long RPGs. I love a game that I can spend, you know, 100 hours in. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's sustainable for every company. Like, just let the greats do it, you know? Let Bethesda and Rockstar, even CD Projekt Red, and, you know, let these companies make the bangers. But even they should be making some, like, other games as well in between, right? And it's just sad to see, like, a lot of developers get fired all the time. Like, even when a game comes out and it's good for a company like Insomniac, when have they put out a bad game in the last like 5 to 10 years? They've been doing awesome, but then they just laid off a bunch of employees. So it's like what kid or young adult wants to get into video game development in the future as their job when they see how volatile it is and like unstable of a job it can be? Like, I think they need to be treated a little bit better. And it's all business maneuvers, you know? It's like, oh, we just made this game for like 8 years and we only made 100 million. It's not enough money, you know? Fire people, fire the developers. But the CEOs, you know, pocket a lot of the money, right? So it's like, it's a weird time for video games. I think the future is grim, but with all these live service games, and I just hope people get the idea and turn it around in the industry, and we get back to, you know, games coming out every year or two, every few years. There's some great little games instead of, you know, I got to wait 8 years for the next Elder Scrolls or GTA, even, you know, 10 plus years. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the gaming industry currently. And what do you guys think is going on? What do you think is going to happen next with the video game industry? Let me know down below. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.